This is a completely different question because of what you just said. Isn't there a lesson in the kind of circumstances that we attract? Uh, and trying to avoid, doesn't it make it a fear-based decision, or um, would you see that as pragmatic because we've got to live outside the textbook?
I wouldn't say it's a fear-based decision, because if you have a previous experience like that, it should be giving you more than enough confidence to take on such people, because you'll know how to handle difficult people and difficult environments. So it's more a matter of retaining your own mental peace if you have a choice as such.
Oh, wonderful. Now, bringing it to what you said prior to this, uh, how much of adjustment can one do in short-term purposes? Uh, because life is generally quite unpredictable. As of right now, we can definitely say it's been more unpredictable than ever. But even in general, one cannot predict almost each and everything. There are certain things that one can plan for, but there are always going to be some or the other things that go not according to our plan. Now, in that scenario, how does one ensure that the growth or the direction always remains purposeful? Is there a way to define one's journey in a manner which is conducive and not against our purpose itself?
I don't think, considering the complexities of life, you can always be guided by an overarching purpose. So it, it needs to, I think the only overarching purpose would be to seek to learn something from whatever situation you're in, and to trust the process, and to have the process itself contribute to your happiness rather than only focusing on the decision. So since there is no overarching purpose, you have to live by satisfying short term and long term goals as and when you can.
Okay, so does that mean that it is not necessary to have a purpose in life at all?
No, that's not what I meant at all. I just meant that there shouldn't be an there for practical reasons there can't always be a overarching purpose other than that of seeking happiness that needs to be guiding you at all times. So purpose definitely should be there, but the purpose will be reconfigured and reassessed from time to time depending on what situations you're in.
Okay. Now I'll ask you a personal example that keeps happening to me. I'll just give you a bit of background. I've been an advertising writer for around 25 years now. And after the say first 7 8 years, I've been meeting a lot of juniors um from various fields. Um People who looked up to me or have been in awe of the fact that I have a creative job. So there's nothing boring about it, and that's what it seemed like because of the kind of attitude that one carries around. I had a ear piercing done and stuff like that. And when one was younger, one also had a lot of um, people around. You were always gregarious. You were always the life of the party because surely of the nature of the job that we were in. We were always happy. We were always outgoing. Uh, as a person, that is a requirement that you need to have in most creative jobs that at least I have experienced, because people buy into your enthusiasm sometimes even more than the idea, and then you support the idea with your enthusiasm and work on it. Now my question, one question was often asked is, we don't have this kind of opportunity, and they always felt quote unquote less. uh, and it was very hard for me because every time I explained to them, it was not about the job itself, it was what you brought to the table. If, say, the kind of subject that you are presently studying, I can't even fathom the superficial aspect of it, forget the depth of it. but that never makes me feel lesser or whatever. In fact, it gives me a lot of uh, scope of one of the things I was thinking while we were trying to get this recording done today was that I'll actually, once our conversation is done, I will sit with you one of these days and have a chat on what do you really study and what what aspect of life is it teaching you in terms of the subject matter itself. So it made me very excited because I have no clue what it is. And that aspect is what keeps me alive as a creative if I were to still take a call. So now coming to the question for you, you haven't quote unquote achieved anything as a professional as of right now because you haven't started the journey yet comparatively. At this point, if I were to ask you, how would you answer somebody like that who says there is no juice in my work itself and it's a very boring job, it's an accountancy job or clerical job or any such thing? How would you um, enthuse them about having a purpose? Because you said a purpose is necessary, which is another part of my question. Why is it necessary at all? But we'll come to that. My first question is how would you enthuse someone who does not seem to have a purpose? They're just going about their jobs, getting their salaries, getting having a relationship or not, or maybe waiting to get married and just the usual stuff. How would you explain this or talk about purpose to them
So
from your experience?
to basically enthuse someone who finds their respective profession a bit mundane is
Yeah,
that's what you usually asked, right?
yeah,
Okay. Mm, it's a good question, but I guess the only solution to that is to seek happiness in the smaller things that uh, make up your job. So, for example, uh, finalizing uh, even if it's not a huge deal, if you're a salesman, finalizing a small deal, you should treat that as a victory in terms of your negotiation skills. So I guess the only way to sustain happiness is to not be constantly disappointed at not being able to rapidly achieve your large and ambitious goals. It would be to seek satisfaction in the smaller goals.
okay. And my question is even more deeper because they used to say they have no goal in life. And it was a regular life like anybody else. And I'm sure you had friends who you call up and you say, "Okay, so what's up?" Oh, the regular man. So those kind of answers. Or so is there anything that can be told to them in terms of um seeking purpose? I like the example that you gave, finding purpose in the smaller thing, smaller achievement itself. Is it something that needs to be consistently looked for at least?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Uh,
For, I mean, I guess take up manage your time well essentially because don't compensate on uh, your work, but maintain a healthy work-life balance in that way. If you're just saying the regular, I'd say, well, I mean, what have you been up to in terms of your hobbies? Have you been playing any sports? Have you been watching anything, any interesting shows? Have you been reading any interesting books recently? And then I normally get on with conversation with that. Or sometimes, even if it's not necessarily a hobby, with people who I know read the news regularly, I try and make the conversation about them giving their opinion on a certain occurrence somewhere in the world.
yeah, that is very interesting. So now to the earlier blanket statement, you said that it is necessary to have a purpose. Uh, what makes it necessary?
A sense of achievement is what comes to my mind first and foremost. Uh, we all strive for achievement. We're all ambitious beings, whether or not in the short term we're experiencing this form of ambition or not. All of us want to prove ourselves and work towards fulfilling our potential. So I'd say for those reasons, purpose is absolutely necessary.
Yeah. Now, okay, I have a bigger question on that answer then. Uh, Suppose you do have a overarching purpose in your life. Um, could be anything. You want to become the president of a country or any such thing, or political ambition or corporate ambition. You want to, or you have a business streak in you. You feel like I can be a good entrepreneur. Um, or you have a I know of a young guy who wanted to own a shop that sold decorative lights, and he's crazy about it. And to me, it was like, what kind of ambition is that? But he's actually dropped out of studying and is trying to move towards that. I do not know where he's reached. I'm not in touch. But when I heard that, it makes me happy in a certain way that you're clear what you want. It may not be making sense to me, but any which way, I don't have to do much with it. Um, but he was very clear, no other business, only this business is what he wants to do. Uh, so my question to you is, if one is working towards a very clear purpose in life and a life changing event or something like that happens, which has uh, tripped you completely, there's no chance in hell that you can walk towards it. I am asking you this specifically because you don't have the experience of life in that sense yet. And I'm not even denying your life experience and presuming that you had a very easy life. It's not that. But I'm just saying is sometimes a person of your caliber, leaving India, going abroad, studying, getting to do a subject that you like, trying to look for a job, seems reasonably okay on the surface. It doesn't seem like a lot has gone wrong, touchwood so far. So if at all something trips you at this point of time, which makes you feel, okay, this is a job that I cannot pick up for whatever reasons, and I will have to do something which is absolutely in no way connected to the life purpose that I was looking at, how would you, hypothetically, obviously, reconcile yourself to the fact? Or maybe say, at this point, it seems very clear that the COVID has just ensured that your kind of jobs no longer exist. And some third thing is coming up. How would you look at things and what would you end up doing? And maybe you have a secondary interest in it. You manage to do reasonably well also. It's not bad on all fronts. How would you reconcile yourself?
I think this is again related to a previous answer of mine where I'll take pleasure in the uh, short-term goal of uh, achieving some sort of personal fulfillment, whatever it is, at whatever level that is, and having enough material benefits to know that this state of affairs needn't necessarily be a permanent one, and that going forward in life, I can do other things.
Okay.